I'm Reverend Patterson, and I am the priest here at Holy Cross. And today I have with me Ira Williams, who is a longtime parishioner that has been at Holy Cross doing in different capacities. And so we just want to take an opportunity to talk to her about leadership in the church. Ira, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being here. How long have you been at Holy Cross?
I think that I started in 1990 attending, and I think my membership began in 91, where I actually was a participating member in 1991.
Okay.
So I've been around for a minute.
Yeah, you've seen some things. Nice, nice. In what field did you work prior to your retired, correct?
Yes.
And prior to that, what field did you work in?
I was in education. I was a special education teacher and then administrator.
Oh, cool, cool. I'm sure that took a lot of energy and organization and all of this.
Prayer.
And prayer. As we're talking about, leadership and how to approach it and the different forms of leadership, what is your earliest memory of good leadership?
I think it was probably back in Savannah long before I came here, and I was working as what they called a lead teacher, and trying to get somebody. I wanted somebody to tell me exactly what needed to be done.
Right.
And her response to me was very similar to your sermon. You can do this. You have the knowledge. Use the knowledge that you have. And that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I don't even know exactly when it was, but
yeah. So I mean, it sounds like that part of that is the trust. There's a trust factor there. That in order to be a leader, maybe you have to trust that other people can be leaders as well. Okay. What are the characteristics that you feel make a good leader?
The ability to listen.
Okay.
And there's also the ability to hear.
Okay.
Because you can listen and not pay a bit of attention to what somebody else is saying.
Hello. I hear you.
And in working with parents of special needs students, I had to hear the parent. And I also had to hear the opposing factor, but remember that it was the student that we were there for and not the egos and wishes of the different factions.
Interesting. So it's correct me if I'm wrong, but I have situations like that too. People can talk, so the hearing part, you can talk and they can be saying something, but there's maybe meaning behind what they're saying. So you hear certain words, but there's a deeper level of Interesting. And so you have to be able to hear what's behind the noise, if you will.
And in order to do that, I had to start within myself. I had to pray that I would be able to hear.
For sure. For sure.
Because otherwise, don't tell them what I would come up with.
I hear you. I hear you. What are some things that you feel make leadership difficult?
It's very difficult to lead different personalities. I mean, it's really hard to figure out exactly where you should go with this particular thing. When should you come on strong in a situation, and when should you backpedal and speak kindly, always speaking kindly, but firmly. It's really hard to know. Sometimes it just comes up when you're pushed up against the wall and you know this is the way this is going to be type of thing.
Right.
But
yeah. Okay. So we've talked about leaderful movements, and the reason that I bring this up, and I'm going to actually combine a couple questions for you, because you were recognized as a silent leader, and that was a leader behind the scenes that really gets things done, but just recognize it's not out in the front. It's just in the background. What does it mean to you to be a silent leader? That's different.
I never really thought of myself as being too silent. That's
All
interesting thing. I don't know. I never considered myself as being silent. I just did what I needed to do. Sometimes I would do in spite of the fact that I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
But I didn't tell anybody, I just don't want to do this,
Yeah.
for the most part. But
Yeah.
except when you asked me to join the vestry.
Yeah, you weren't silent on that
No,
one.
I wasn't silent
You
on
weren't
that one.
Okay. All right.
It was a compliment, but I still have a hard time understanding that I am that silent. I just did.
Yeah. Yeah. So you choose to move as opposed to and just do things as opposed to wait and sit around. You can take a job, look at a task, and get it done.
Sometimes.
Well, even if you haven't thought about it, there has to be some difference between being out front and being in the background.
Yeah.
What would be the benefits of leading silently?
Oh gosh. You know, there's the saying there, we've got a whole lot of chiefs and not that many Indians. And I've discovered that it's not necessarily the chiefs that did all the work and all of the thinking and planning. It was the Indians that came along and maybe whispered in their ear. So that one of the things is sometimes I'm sought out as, what do you think about thus and so? And often I can give that opinion or not.
Yeah.
But to be silent is sometimes just the whole thing of just paying attention, just listening. And then you can act better, I think, or react better.
You don't have to deal, I guess you don't have to deal with a lot of the other stuff that goes on, that being an out front leader, there's a lot that comes with that too.
Because I've been there. I was a senior warden, and I didn't want to do that anymore.
Right.
I did not want to do that anymore.
Right. So, okay. What role has God played in your leadership or your leadership style?
Probably primary role, because I can recall, because I knew that I had to deal with a difficult student when teaching, and difficult teachers, as well as difficult parents. And I had to pray on my way, and before whatever the day really started. So I had to make that an integral part, and it still is an integral part of my relationships with others. We used to do an introit here at Holy Cross, the words, "Lead me, Lord, lead me in thy righteousness."
Yeah.
And I would sing that song all the way up to Dunwoody High School, because that's where my most difficult interactions were. I had to deal with a lot of prejudice, and sometimes that kind of thing just strips your spirit. So I had to start my day. I honestly hated going up there, even though there were some children up there that I really liked. I can't say a whole lot about the teachers I had to deal with, and even the principal, who was blatantly racist in her interactions with me, until she found that there was something I could do for her. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And so, when you think about, and so it sounds like, God is the primary, and I'm with you. I do that too. When I'm about to get on a phone call, when I'm about to walk into a meeting. I at least say a couple words,
Yeah.
just to kind of ground you and center you in leadership. What you did as a career, a lot of people don't often bring it to the church, those leadership. You know, people say, okay, Sunday is church, and you know, during the week is. Do you see those two as separate? And if so, like, what skills do you bring? And if not, what skills do you bring from, or did you bring from your career or home or other leadership venues into the church? Because a lot of times people keep those things separate.
Well, I couldn't quite keep them separate. My parents were both educators,
Okay.
and they were both active in church.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't have any choice but to be active in church.
Right.
And you always had to know. One of the things my mother said, don't let this come back on me as something that you've done wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So it was always, oh Lord, please,
Yeah.
let me do what's right.
Yeah.
So they really aren't separate.
They're not separate at all.
They-
It's one.
Yeah.
It's one thing.
I can't keep it separate. Those who can, more power to them, but I cannot.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's a great testament, and I actually think that's how it should be.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking about building community, you at least I think that you should bring the gifts that you have to the church, in whatever capacity, in whatever leadership, and offer them in that way. So, all right, if the church is to thrive, what must we embrace as leaders moving forward? If you could have one dream that would come true, what would be that dream as it relates to leadership and Holy Cross?
I would love to see more of the youth involved, and encouraged to be involved. It was such a wonderful thing to get the production ministry started, because that's where our youth are shining right now.
Yeah, for sure.
But they can shine in other ways as well. And we need to encourage them to be involved, invite them to be involved in different activities.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting old.
You're not old. You're young. You're young.
Uh-huh.
Well, but I think you're right. But not even, and also being empowered, right? To feel that you are part of this,
Yeah.
and not just
You
a
don't
side
have-
of it,
right.
but this is your space. And how do we begin to talk to them in ways that that bring life to them, but also to the community?
That's the difficult one, but you actually hit the nail on the head in your sermon, because we have to let them know that they are enough. They are welcome, and what you have to give is needed. Because
Whatever that may be.
Whatever it may be.
Yeah. There's a space for it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
I think this concludes our interview. But no, really, we appreciate it as we move into our leadership season here at Holy Cross.
You're welcome.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.